I am Dr. Arif Pyarali, a proud member of Learning Minds family, and it is my greatest joy to host the first session of Mastery Mornings. So this idea was initiated and created by Learning Minds Group. Learning Minds is one of the top leading management consulting and training firm. We believe in sharing knowledge, enhancing performance, fostering collaboration, and we don't claim it, we do it every single time. Learning Minds Group focuses on four main areas, that is personal mastery, people's management, organizational development, and functional expertise. And something about Mastery Morning. This idea was actually rotated 3 months back. In one of our mentoring sessions where our mentor Sohail Zindani came up with this idea where we can collaborate and bring in speakers who are brilliant yet witty, conventional yet disruptive, and successful yet thoughtful, and bringing in for a very mobile, agile, and motivated audience like you. So here we are. And we cannot do these programs in hotels just for the fact that it's not sustainable. Yeah, and aapko phir pata hai ki when we come to sponsorship, what happens? We need to abide by their agenda. So here we are, being in the PSO house, and PSO being the proud host of this first session of Mastery Morning. Thank you, PSO. Okay, so now the most difficult part of my job, and that is to introduce our speaker today, Mr. Sarfaraz Rahman. And when I was looking towards, in his CV, it just sounded so unreal. Mr. Sarfaraz Rahman is a chartered accountant and a business executive. He has been into the industry for 35 years and trained and been a part of PepsiCo, GSK, and CEO of Angro Foods. His style of giving back to society is also unique, and that is because he is one of the board of governors in WWF, Shaukat Khanam, and Hisar Foundation. So please put your hands together without any further ado, Mr. Sarfaraz Rahman.
Just a small anecdotal thing which I didn't realize that I passed this building, of course, regularly. Some 50 years ago, on this very place, I used to come in and play cricket as a young kid. This used to be the Pakistan Tobacco Company apartments, this whole area. And there was a very nice garden and a cricket pitch. And I remember spending quite a bit of time playing cricket here. It's amazing to see how progress has happened. Righty. I'm going to talk about living, and it's not a new topic. It's a topic which is general to all of us. We are all in this life together. We are facing the world, which has become a very, very complex and different world. It's got its real complex issues in terms of why are we here, what are we doing, where are we going, what are we going to do about it, and what's really happening out there in the world. And there's a huge amount of speed which has been piling up on us very, very quickly as technology has gone on. Moore's law, I don't know if you guys are aware of Moore's law. This was Professor Moore going back to the 60s, who said that every 18 months technology is going to move, double, and the cost is going to halve. And that's been happening for the last almost 50 years. And it's changed the world. It's going to change further. Down the road, you've got the robots which are coming, and you've got artificial intelligence, which is also right around us. I've encountered myself in my work routine. And now, while I've sort of semi-retired, I still see it everywhere where I go. It's going to change our lives, if it hasn't already. Plus, all beyond that, the social upheavals which are happening, the environmental change, I mean, you just need to go on Twitter and listen to Donald Trump. And you see a life which is very, very different and very complex and really uncontrollable. And somehow, we as individuals have to work our way around it because we have to live our lives. And more importantly, I see a few young people here, but more importantly, a lot of your younger people will face the brunt of what's going to happen to this world. So this is a topic I've spoken often. It's not a topic which I sort of created. तो जनाब तो ये है ये दुनिया बदल रही है और जब दुनिया बदलेगी तो हमें भी थोड़ा बदलना पड़ेगा हमें नए तरीक़ेकार सोचने पड़ेंगे और ये this talk today about abundant living is in that context and it's about the reality of what's going to happen. It's really as time has gone on, I've been asked more and more, and so I've incorporated it into the talk. Okay, so I'll begin by and the way I'll structure it, I'll go through 2 or 3 various items, and then I'll sort of behind that bring in my own discussion. And then after about 15 to 20 minutes, I will leave it open really for you to come back and ask me questions. I'm very open to exploring anything. I don't think there's anything which is specifically the right way of life. And so you're very, very welcome to ask any question, difficult, good, bad. Tell me I'm speaking nonsense. I have no problem being told that also. Janab, I'll begin with a small anecdote. There's an old man. He's this is a real event. So there's an old man. He's wearing bedraggled clothes. He's thin, emaciated, starving, leaning on his staff. He's shivering, and he's scared, and he stammers all the time. And he's standing outside this huge, huge palace, and he has one role to play. He has to go in there and tell the then most powerful person in the world that he needs to sort out his way of living. That you, Mr. World's most powerful person, need to start doing good. And so he's shivering and he's scared. And he looks up and prays to Allah and says, Allah, open my tongue, loosen my tongue, because I stammer. So give me that fluency. And Allah, I'm scared, I'm really scared, so expand my breast for me, give me courage, so that I can go in and do what I'm supposed to do. This event happened 3,200 years ago, and Allah honored this person by putting those words in the Quran and Surah Taha. And this has become, for 3,200 years, the Jews, and for 1,400 years, the Muslims have used this prayer for courage and words. I use it every time I speak, and I know a lot of other Muslims who do. I'm speaking, of course, of Hazrat Hazrat Musa, and his prayer as he is about to go and tackle the Pharaoh. It's an amazing honor to have that someone can get up 3,200 years later and use your words. Just imagine that the words used here by someone can be repeated in the year 5,000. That's what it is. It's a great legacy to have. It's a reason to live. And if nothing is that one single thing of Hazrat Musa, and there were a lot of other things. He split, Allah split the Red Sea, and God knows the 10 miracles which happened in Egypt. But if nothing is just this one legacy would be enough to define life. And I leave it there in your thoughts for the simple reason that I will eventually summate the whole thing together. I need to run that one video. Okay, this video which I'm now going to show is a 3-minute video. It's way back in 1990. Have you heard of the Voyager? Okay. The 2 voyages which left the world in 1977 went out with a specific purpose to chart the solar system and find out what is happening out there. Carl Sagan, the very, very famous astronomer, as he अब रोक दीजिएगा हाँ जब तक as the Voyager 1 got near the end of the solar system, requested NASA to turn around and look at our world. When his purpose was very simple. He wanted the world to see the world as it's seen from far away. So the Voyager 1 turned around after, I think it's about 6 billion kilometers away in 1990, and looked at the world and did 65 frames of the shot of the world. 65 because one frame would not have been enough. They pulled all the 65 frames together, and guess what? The world was one tiny pale little dot. And on that, Carl Sagan then used these famous words, which put our world and our lives in context. And I would like you to hear this, if possible.
That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering. Thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines. Every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization. Every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there on a boat of dust, suspended in a sunbeam. The earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and triumph they can become the momentary masters of a fraction of a galaxy. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion we have some privileged position in the universe, are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that hope will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. The earth is the only world known so far to harbor life. There is nowhere else, at least in the near future, to which our species could migrate. Visit it? Yes. Astronomy is a humbling and character-building experience. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the people dust, the only all we've ever known.
I would, when you go out of here, Google pale blue dot and see the history of it. I've written a blog on it also recently. It just puts in context what we are. यहाँ तो लोग मैनेजर बन जाते हैं तो उनके दिमाग कहाँ चले जाते हैं, CEO बन जाते हैं तो उससे ऊपर चले जाते हैं. They feel they're untouchable. But that's the reality, that in this vast cosmic universe, we are just a simple pale blue dot, and we are just occupying a small portion of that. Now, I'll lead to one last little thing before I go into my talk. Going on from that Hazrat Musa story, our life is built on three edifices today. One is fame, two is wealth, and three is power. These are the three which sort of structure life and keep us going, motivate us, motivate the world, cause all the friction and all the good to happen. It seems spirituality today has sort of gone. Social well-being has sort of gone, and it's really these three things which have sort of ended up causing the world as it's happened. One of the problems with fame and going from the Hazrat Musa thing of कि 3000 साल बाद भी नाम और पता और लोग मालूम है कि क्या हो रहा है is that people forget. There was a survey which was done by a media group recently, about 2 years ago, which found that there are only 147 significant people in the history of this world. 147. And out of that, I would be very surprised if you would know maybe 50. I looked through that list, and I knew maybe 40, 50 people. By knowing, I mean, know about them. You might have heard the name. And one of the criterions obviously was significant, but the other one was in terms of how many people know of these people. And typically it was found that maybe 1 to 2% of the Earth's population knew these people. So then why are these people living their lives? If the most important 147 people in the world are not known, तो फिर हम सब क्या कर रहे हैं? क्यों हैं यहाँ पर? Yeah, that's the question I'm leading to. I'd like to put that Shelley poem there. And in that context, if you have heard the name of Percy Shelley, the famous poet, I'd like to, नहीं ये वाला आखिरी वाला हाँ. Shelley, that probably gave you a bit of time to read Shelley's poem Ozymandias. This is about, it's apparently written about Ramesses II, who was a pharaoh some few thousand years ago. And it talks, and as you can see, this Ozymandias says, I am the king of kings, look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. But the amazing thing is nothing besides remains around the decay of that colossal wreck. And here's his edifice lying there, the legs are there, the face is there, the harsh face of a ruler of the world. And that is the reality, that we as humans pass on, our memories pass on, and therefore what we do passes on. And therefore this whole fight of existence, of legacy, of what to do, of where to go and how to do it is important. Okay, so now I'll go into my talk having shown these 3 or 4 different items. I can see things are a bit better now, mashallah. Mankind got to about the year 1750, almost as it had always been. We had human beings with maybe 0.01% of the population who were rulers. The rest, 99.9%, were all sort of serfs or normal peasants. We lived our life daily. We couldn't store things. We couldn't produce things. So what happened was we grew, we tilled land, we had animals, and we had a daily sort of existence where we had food on the table. If anything was spared, it was given away because it won't last the next day. The milk would be spoiled in a couple of hours. The meat would spoil in a few hours. And that's the way we got used to it. We had one shoe, couple of clothes. We woke up with sunlight, and we went to bed with sunset. And that was the existence, and for millennia, that's how human beings functioned. They were at one with the environment. They did not fiddle around with the world. They did not make any changes in it, and life rolled on. Then somewhere around 1750, things suddenly started speeding up, and this is like almost, therefore I say it's been ordained by Allah, because three events happened in 39 years, which is what has caused us to be what we are today. First, the Industrial Revolution happened. The Industrial Revolution is an amazing thing. You sitting here are a function of the Industrial Revolution. This is not how people used to sit in the old days. It's the factory floor, the way it had been worked out, the way it had worked, and had been so successful. You would have all read in your school about the guy who used to make one pen, and then with proper segmentation and putting on an industrial floor, he was able to make 48 pens in a day. It was extremely successful. What did it do? It meant every single thing in our lives were now being designed on the industrial floor. The way you sit in offices, the way factories work, the way the traffic works, the way the logistics works, the way the warehouse is set up, the way the schools, colleges. Everything was designed on the industrial floor. So that started around 1750. Because of that, mass movement happened. Suddenly people were able to store goods, large amounts, move large amounts. The growth factors started coming into life. The function of I can store and I can maybe earn 2 days a week and live for the rest of the week became a function. Countries started storing things. Ship movement started happening. A lot of stuff was beginning to take. A lot of large volume orientation came together. So that was the industrial flow. But within the next 30, 35 years, two other events happened which just changed everything else. One, the American Revolution happened. And basically, the American Revolution was a fight to say there is no such thing as a ruler and a ruled. We are all one. We have the freedom to be able to do our own thing. That seeped into the human psyche and made a big difference. Next step, the French Revolution happened in 1789. Because of that, suddenly equality, justice, all those things became a major thing. Where in the old days, a king could put you into prison. France was full of people who had just been sent to the Bastille just on the whims of the king. All that disappeared. So there was equality. There was suddenly a feeling that the masses could rise to the top, and then the Industrial Revolution gave the wherewithal to be able to actually put that into process. And so it looked very good. For a century, human beings started advancing, lots of good stuff started happening, prosperity started spreading around, and it looked great. Except something else started happening. They made the stock exchange. They divorced the ownership of the humans from what was happening in the offices or in the fields or in the factories. The moment they did that and the corporate came in, the shareholder became a remote animal. When he became the remote animal, he started demanding more and more. This is very, very normal human method of operating. Given time, given space, if Mr. Nabil here says he can deliver me 100, I would say fine. And then when he's delivered 100, tomorrow I'll ask him to deliver 110, and the day after 121. That's the way life works. My second year in Anglo Foods, we grew 157%. And Asad Umar was the chairman. And right at the end of the year, he said, I'm disappointed at the growth you have shown. which means the 157 should have been a lot more. And the same thing happened when it was 114 the next year and 80% the next year. Ingro fruits grew at phenomenal rates. And every time the board was disappointed at the growth. The fact that it sold for over $500 million for 50% of the business didn't matter. So that's human nature. So suddenly the board started demanding more. As they started demanding more, the specter of science came into it, the HR science. Um, Humans started being put into shape, designed to deliver. And therefore came the HR managers, the bell curves, the annual reporting cycles, the incentive procedures. It's just a lot of science started pervading into our lives. And we started, without really knowing it, we have sort of been designed. I've lived that life for 35 years. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to tell a guy who's worked hard throughout the year and with a lot of sincerity that, hey, I'm going to give you a very ordinary rating. Because so happens that there are others who are cleverer than you or have done better. That's part of the HR game. The basic thought is to make people work for 40 years, deliver the best possible in the circumstances, and then hopefully with a pension, bid them goodbye. Treat them like machines. But there's a problem. We are humans, we are not machines. We feel. When we come in and sit on our desks every day, we have aspirations. We leave aspirations behind in our home with our children and our wife. And I'm not saying wives, huh? So, and our parents and our brothers and sisters. And we also have our personal thoughts. We all want to be CEOs if possible. We all want to do something important if possible. We all want to make an impact if possible. Unfortunately, that is not the reality. Gallup did a survey in 2013, Western society. 13% of the people who are working, 13%, 1-3, are engaged in their work. 64% of the people, 63% of the people are totally unengaged in their work. They just work like slaves or machines without thinking. 24% of the people, the rest of the 100%, actually hate their work. They don't want to come to work. This is the sum total of our corporate and HR revolution which has happened in the last 200 years. This is what we have achieved. We have a disengaged society. And when you have a disengaged society, you will have unhappiness, you will have pain, and you will have all sorts of health effects down the road. Attrition takes its role. And at the same time, so many things are happening. Innovation is happening, technology is happening, the roads are getting crowded, you get out of your office, you are tired anyway, you hate what you do in the room. So imagine what life is like. So the health gets destroyed also. So that's we are. That's what we are. And I would think if the same numbers apply here, most of us are exactly the same also. I can tell you I've lived most of my life like that. And if I'm saying that, having been CEO for 19 years in Pepsi and Ingro Foods, and having apparently done iconic things, imagine what the gentleman or the lady who are striving through middle management, what are they thinking? There is lack of engagement, there's a lack of love, there's a lack of warmth, there's a lack of feeling. We are just machines. Okay, so what do we do about it? It's not all doom and gloom. Um, and there is a lot which as individuals one can do. This gentleman here who was there at the inception of my career in Unilever. I used to have lunch with him at least once or twice a week, probably more. बड़े अच्छे आदमी हैं मोतियूर रहमान साहब जी और इन्होंने मेरी यंग जिंदगी देखी है and he would probably, and since we haven't met too often since then, he's probably saying ये पता नहीं क्या हो गया इस बंदे को, कैसा होता था कैसा बन गया है ना. That's what life does. How do we get around it? I sort of tell you what I did, and that's just one way. The good news is there are plenty of ways. The Harvard Business Review did a very, very long 70-year, जैसे अभी ये वाली हार्वर्ड की जो research के बारे में आप देख रहे थे, which is an iconic one. I would advise you to go and read about it, not just see this 12-minute TED talk, but there's a lot of stuff which will give you guidance on the sort of traps which executives fall into, and these are Harvard executives. And one of the biggest ones, by the way, in the West is alcoholism. And फिर गायब हो गया? नहीं चलो अच्छा हाँ मुझे हर वक्त डर लगता है गायब हो गया. So one of them is alcoholism, by the way. Anyway, that particular Harvard study, about 1,000 CEOs over the last 70 years, and they went into deep research, not just a few questions, a lot of stuff. What's motivated you? How did you do things? What are the good things? What are the bad things? What would you recommend? So on and so forth. And amazing, 1,000 people, huh? No pattern at all. Zero pattern. There is no formula for success. That is the one thing which was seen out of that research. It is just everyone has their own history, their own experiences, their lessons, and out of those lessons, the decisions they have taken, the characteristics they have acquired, and so success has happened. And there's some people, for instance, there was a guy who was a polio patient when he was 8 years old, and he grew to be one of the big CEOs of North America, and how he carved his life out from there. And there are lots of other stories. It's again something which would be worthwhile Googling. But the good news out of that one research is that there is no formula. Everyone can carve their own lives, and everyone can do the things. And that fits in. We have 7.4 billion people in this world at the moment. My fingerprint is unique. My eye retina scan is unique. My voice note is unique. My DNA is unique. 4 things science knows at the moment, and there might be others. So if Allah has designed 7.4 billion uniquenesses in the world, how can it be that He's not designed your purpose in life? There has to be. Everyone has their purpose. Our purpose in life is to find that purpose, whatever it is, and use your ample abilities to be able to go there. Now, how did I go about doing this? Around the time when I used to sit with Moti here at lunchtime and a couple of other people and have lunch, there was already this creeping sense of monotonous stuff creeping into my mind after 2 or 3 years. Unilever was bit of a machine itself. Great in a lot of ways, but very designed and structured. And it used to bother me. Even today, 30 years later, I can normally tell a Unilever person because of the way they dress, the way they talk. They used to tell me that I'll probably have a good career because some of the dynamics seem to be right. I could speak, I could laugh, I could joke, I could stand up and say things, I could present, and maybe take a bit of risks, etc. So it seemed the dynamics were there and I could do well. But the creeping thing behind that was something inside me was saying, so let's say I become Unilever chairman, what then? And what good will it do me? I will eventually get to 80. I'm going to consume what I'm going to consume in life, and anything else I leave behind. It was a constant thing. So I myself set out on this adventure. Somewhere in my late 20s, I concluded that life has to be an adventure. Life has to keep changing its flavor all the time, that you cannot get tied to a desk, that your corporate card cannot become your identity. You, I in this case, Sarfraz Ahmed Rahman, needed to be Sarfraz Ahmed Rahman. But to do that, I needed to know myself, and I don't think I did. Our school system doesn't bring us up to understand ourselves. We're just not there. We taught subjects, we think it's important, but we aren't. Right, so, I decided I needed to have my own identity. And that meant knowing yourself. Now, if you're going to know yourself, you need to delve into yourself. And self-awareness, I can tell you, is probably the most difficult thing in life. I can see another familiar face at the back just now, right? It's very difficult. क्योंकि हम लोग की पूरी सोसाइटी की डिज़ाइनिंग ऐसी हुई है कि जो लगता है कि सक्सेसफुल हो रहा है उसकी वाह वाह होती है, जो बेचारा गरीब जो नहीं सक्सेसफुल होता है उसकी खिंचाई होती है, और वो एक इस सिस्टम में फिट हो जाता है. तो इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू बी एबल टू स्टैंड अवे एंड से अच्छा यार ये तो मैं कर रहा हूँ, ये सही है गलत है. इसके अंदर थोड़ी सी रीडिंग की ज़रूरत होती है और थोड़ी सी मेहनत की ज़रूरत होती है. इसका खुलासा ये है कि मैं आपको बताऊं, बहुत सिंपल चीज़ें हैं. रेज़ों डेथ, जो कि द रीज़न टू बी, the Japanese have designed a very, very simple system. I would suggest all of you go out and work on it. It's called the Ikigai, IKIGAI. Google it and you'll find a very simple set formula of finding out in your lives कि ज़रूरी क्या है, मैं क्या हूँ, मेरे लिए ज़रूरी क्या है करना. वो it's 4 different points. Ikigai, IKIGAI. Ikigai. Google करेंगे आपको बहुत मिल जाएगा. It's a very commonly used system by the Japanese. Since I've had the privilege of working on projects with 2 Japanese companies, Mitsubishi and Morinaga, I've also got used to it. I designed it for myself a long time ago, and then I helped my children in their teens design it for themselves. And it's not something you can sit down in one session and say, अच्छा ये हो गया, अब मुझे मालूम है कि ज़िंदगी के क्या खुलासा है और मुझे क्या करना है. But it's something you can work towards, and over a few months, you will be able to come to some sort of conclusion. And it's not necessary that this conclusion is for life. It could be a moving thing. And my Ikigai over the last 10, 12, 15 years has changed. When I joined Ingra Foods, the big drive for me was to create an impact in Pakistan. Having done that for the last 3 years, it's been to be able to guide people. I do a lot of personalized coaching, basically. Well, the same sort of thing where young people come to me and sit down and guide them in their careers and in their lives, etc. So change bhi ho sakta hai, but it's something which you can actually work on. Very simple, because human beings, I know, want some standardization if possible. So this gives you the ability to be independent and at the same and design your own life, but at the same time gives you a formula a method rather than a formula to how to get there. So now, so once you've done your ikigai and you find out कि अच्छा यार मैं तो ये चीज़ हूँ और मुझे ये करना है. And it could be anything, you know. You might want to become an artist. A woman might just want to be a mother. Great, you know. It's such a great thing to do, yeah. To bring up children. A guy might just want to write. It took me years, decades. I used to be very good in my writing in school. Never wrote for 35 years. I run a blog, two blogs now. One of them is fairly well followed, 7,500 people. And try and write at least a couple of times a month. I didn't know that yet. I didn't know it because I was so involved in my daily life, in work and the responsibility and the fight to survive and to impress and to get plaudits from people, that I lost an essential part of my life. I wish I had been writing for 35 years. I might have become an author. There was a young lady who walked into my office once for some guidance. She was 2 months from her MBA. She's now settled in the States. And she sat down after 5 minutes. I said to her, why are you doing your MBA? And she broke down and started crying. She could write, she could paint, she could sing. She was the most artistic person I had ever come across. Naturally, everything, without any training. And she said, yeah, my parents forced me to do my MBA. So anyway, she said, what do I do? And I said, yaar, 2 mahine reh gaye, ab kar hi lo MBA, 6 saal guzare hain to. And then go out and do your thing. Mashallah, she's doing some very nice artistic stuff in the States. She's gone on in life. This is about 8 or 9 years ago. These things happen. मैंने सीए किया था क्योंकि मेरे फादर ने मुझसे कहा था कि यार तुम जाकर के सीए करो, तुम्हारे दोनों मामू बहुत अमीर हैं, बहुत कमाते हैं, सीए हैं, तो यही सही तरीका है. उस ज़माने में one would not dispute what one's parents were saying at all. So I went and did my CA. 1 week into my audit, I so hated the thing. क्या मैं कहाँ फंस गया हूँ यार? Oh man. So there was this 3 years of struggle. The one thing I promised myself since I was good in studies was that I'd pass my exams, become a CA, but that I would never, ever go and do audits and tax ever. So when I joined Unilever, I got away from audits and taxes and things like that and did financial planning and even eventually left financial planning. Just hated the word finance. It was just not me. These things happen. Anyway, तो आपको तरीक़ेकार एक मिल जाएगा कि अच्छा ये मुझे करना है. So that's slightly easier part कि ये मुझे करना है. अब असल टेस्ट ये होता है, इंसान का आता है कि कैसे करें. आज सुबह भी बैठे हुए कहाँ गए जनाब? We were having a discussion, an old friend, about what life is about, what one should do. The real test is in trying to implement it. And I'll be truthful, I found it very difficult. I had got myself into a trap. I got myself into a trap because my kids went to a very expensive school, and because they went into expensive school and all my friends, their children went into expensive school, and they obviously wanted to go to the university abroad, so I needed that money. And I fell into that trap without knowing. But along the way, the moment it happened, I realized, hey, I can't live this life like this. So then I said, okay, I'm going to compromise my time and give it for other things. So Shaukat Khanam happened. My Saturdays when I was posted in Lahore by PepsiCo, I used to be head of West Asia, always spend at Shaukat Khanam. You see these labs of Shaukat Khanam, that was my idea some 15 years ago. Mashallah, today 45% of the revenue of Shaukat Khanam comes through those labs, not through Zakat alone. So continuity hogi hai. Then I got involved with water, and it's been a real passion for decades. 2 decades now I spent going and lecturing in schools, talking about water. I could do a separate water talk if you wanted for a couple of hours. Pakistan's biggest problem is, by the way, pani, not Nawaz Sharif, not Asif Zardari, not corruption. We are short of water, and we are becoming shorter by the day, and there's going to be a big reckoning somewhere in the next 10, 15 years. That's a separate issue. Then you would do a lot of coaching privately, ran IBA classes to do mentoring and coaching, got involved with a lot of people. So I say, you know, ये मैं तो टाइम दे रहा हूँ, काम को अब देना है, मैं फंस गया हूँ, तो मैं ये ज़रूर करूँगा कि ये जो चीज़ें मुझे करनी है उसको इधर ले आऊँ. फिर luck then played a game, because eventually I ran out of steam, and at about the age of 46, I had come back to Pakistan. I was tired, and I said, I'm going to do social work only. And along came Asad Umar. And he said, क्या कर रहे हो? तो I said, ये no, टाइम गुजारूंगा सोशल वर्कर. He said, तुम खर्च हो जाओगे, 15 साल गुजर जाएंगे और कुछ नहीं हो सकेगा, पैसा नहीं मिलेगा तुम्हें. तुम ऐसा करो कि तुम इम्पैक्ट करना चाह रहे हो ना, इम्पैक्ट करो तो तुम काम के थ्रू क्यों नहीं करते? It was something which was novel. I had not even thought about it, because this is something I hated. And Anglo Foods happened. I tell you, Anglo Foods was so different. It was like Allah's reward for years of wanting to do things. Everyone was engaged, everyone wanted to do it. The same things which I used to hate doing were now important, because there was a purpose. There was a purpose way beyond myself. It was a purpose of Pakistaniyat, of opening up rural areas, of bringing education into rural areas. In 4 years, in the first 4 years, the farmers in the areas we operated started earning 16 times more than they were earning before. There were 25,000 unpad aurtein in Sindh who started earning 10,000 rupees a month because they were doing lady livestock worker work. जब वो उनसे बातें करो तो वो कह देती कि अच्छा मैं 10,000 कमाए हैं ना, उसके सबसे पहले वो टीवी लाती थी ताकि उनके बच्चे देखने लगे दुनिया, और फिर अपने बच्चों को स्कूल भेजती थी. So just a thought कि you know in 20 years time whole generations of families would have come up. So the same thing which seemed like a waste suddenly became important. So the trick is to find passion in your work. And the passion will only come with purpose. And the purpose will come through you knowing yourself and deciding what you want to do. Easier said than done, but can be done. You can find niches in life where you can go out and live a full life, enjoying it, loving every day at work. Be part of that 13% rather than the part of the 87%. Can be done. So I'll leave it at that. I've spoken more than I thought. I didn't think मेरे इतनी जान होगी बोलने की. I'll now leave it open for you guys to ask whatever you want. I'm sorry I haven't been as lively as I normally am. I joke a lot. मगर मुझ में जान ही नहीं थी इतनी आज. जी.
I ask this question to me myself very often.
Everyone does, you know.
Yeah. Since we talked about it, I want to know, is it important to try to be what you want to be and find happiness in what you want to be, or try to find happiness in what you are doing right now?
अच्छा देखिए, there is the Sufiana concept of now. ये था या कहीं और से? शुक्र. Okay, there is a Sufiana concept of now. I don't know if you know that, which is very clearly sort of talking about the sort of things you are saying. There's only one real moment in life. All life, there's only one real moment. What's happened in the past is all electrical impulses in the brain is gone. Reality नहीं है अब. जो भी, चाहे वो पाकिस्तान बना, पाकिस्तान, ईस्ट पाकिस्तान टूट गया, भुट्टो को हैंग कर दिया, God knows what. They aren't reality anymore. They're finished. They're gone. In reality, they shouldn't be affecting you. They're brain impulses. आगे जो होना है आपकी प्लानिंग हो सकता ना हो सकता जलजला आ जाए, कराची खत्म हो जाए, अल्लाह माफ करे, you know, we don't know. So separate one moment now. So the Sufis say if you can grab your moment now and live it, and I have actually one of my mentors, I don't know if, have you heard of Etsko Shwetma? Okay, Etsko is one of my mentors. He's been for years. Great person. He's a South African revert, and he's helped me a lot in life, simply by words. He's been inspiration to me. So he lives that. I've seen him every single moment. And you know, the upshot is कि कहीं उसको कोई आकर के थप्पड़ भी मारेगा ना, it won't affect him. It's amazing, you know, the guy will not lose his temper. So there are people like that. If you can design yourself that way, but that's a real superior person. कर लेंगे आप तो माशाल्लाह, आपके आके मैं पैर छूऊंगा. So it's not easy. So that's the best, I think, is to feel in the circumstances. You know, you can't achieve that, I think, easily. It's just to feel. Open yourself to feelings. We don't. Our society shuts us down. बच्चा होता है ना, उसको हम कहते हैं, लड़का है तो कहते हैं रोना मत. Yeah, why not यार? रोने दो यार. नाखुश है तो रोने दो. छोटी छोटी चीज़ों में हम बैरियर्स लगाते हैं. जब वो बैरियर्स लगाते हैं, वो मल्टीप्लाई होते जाते हैं. जब वो बड़ा होता है तो ही इज अ रियल मिक्सचर ऑफ नोज. और फिर वो जाकर के काम में उसको ताकत मिलती है. सडनली he or she is now a powerful being controlling hundreds of people, and they apply that. The very things which we say कि यार ये देखो कितना कितना जबरदस्त बोलता है यार, कैसे ना करता है लोगों को, वही चीजें उसको ले जाती हैं, वो सीईओ बन जाता है और सडनली वो हजारों जिंदगियां खराब कर रहा होता है. ये हमारा अलमिया है. So, you know, just feel things, feel for people, feel their pain. When you're working, feel around you. Intuition को apply करें. 90% of my decision making in Angro Foods was intuitive. I used to get a lot of analysis. You know, this world is full of data now. 3.2 million transactions होते थे, तो उसको of course a lot of analysis every day. But in the end, a lot of it was intuitive. That's what worked. Thank you very much, all of you.
No way we could have planned a better start to Mastery Morning. Thank you so much, Mr. Sapras. Thank you so much. I would request you to please be on stage. Thank you for your thoughts, ideas, observations, and wisdom. Okay, in order to formally wrap it up, may I now invite Shahzad Safdar, General Manager, HR PSO, to please come on stage and present a thank you memento to Mr. Sarfraz Rahman. And I will request Mr. Nadeem, CEO of Learning Minds, and Ms. Misbah, Marketing Manager of Learning Minds, to please join him on stage.
Thank you. Thank you. So kind of you.
And I would also request Mr. Sarfraz Rahman to present a memento on behalf of Learning Minds and the entire audience. Mr. Sarfraz Rahman for the tender support for making this event possible. We would look forward for your continued support. We would be sending you feedback and suggestions on your email address. Kindly fill that as soon as possible for you people. Before Before we proceed to tea, by the way, there is a media hall where you can take pictures, videos and selfies and get a hold of Mr. Sarfaraz Rahman for a click. Lastly, those of you who want to host the next Mastery Morning session at your place, kindly contact Mr. Nabil or Ms. Misbah. Thank you everyone.